Hello everybody, we're finishing, this will be the last class from the talks of the Torah portion of Va'eira, the 28th of Teves, in which we bless the month of Shvat, 57-52. This is the last couple months from the Sichos with the Rebbe Moshiach spoke, and we're using the royal words. This is a translation by Rebbe Rayatz Ben Yomenson. It's very, very good. We're using this, and right now this is also available on the net. If you look in our description, we're giving where you can get this, and this is from the first volume of the book of Shemos. There's 2 volumes for Shemos, for the Sefer Shemos. So we're right now, we were in the middle of 10, number 10 on page 60, so we're going to start there. So we're talking about the whole inyan, about how the inyan of becoming of Mashiach, and the inyan of Mashiach is revealed in our generation. That's what Rebbe is going to be talking about, and that the service of the Jews during the time of Golus, this is a preparation for the final revelation of God. So we're explaining this, and we're explaining how this has in different levels. Also, this is seen, there are 3 levels. There's before the giving of Torah, which in general we talk about, that was the service from the forefathers, the Abos. They were just totally tied in and like one with God. They were totally cherished to godliness. When we read stories how they were just special from special, and they were just tied into God, but they were not able to bring it down into the world, because there was a decree not to bring this level down. So they were very much with Hashem, but they weren't able to affect the world. And from them, we came to the giving of the Torah, which the giving of the Torah enabled us to take godliness and to reveal it in the world, because at that point God took away the decree, the separation that what's above can't go down and what's below can't go up. And so therefore you have the capability of changing and bringing godliness to the level of God, of the Avos, which is totally beyond the worlds, into the worlds. And he says, and this is the service that we're supposed to do, and this is the service of self-sacrifice, that no matter what it says in the world, we're just doing what Hashem wants us to do. So we're revealing God. And then he says we reach the level of Mashiach when we see the work that we did, but we see the result of it, we see how God is totally revealed, his whole essence is revealed in the creation stays in existence. So this is generally what we're talking about, and we're talking about how also this has to do with the month of Shvat, which is the month that we're blessing when Rebbe is talking about this, the Sikh, which has to do with rulership, and the rulership from King Dvar. So now let's go on page 60, number 10. And with greater emphasis in our generation, since the 10th, so the very know that we're our generation, this mamish is in times of redemption, everything is happening now. That the 10th, and it says, since it says the 10th of Shvat, the 10th shall be holy, the 10th of every month, most certainly the 10th of the 11th month, the Yom HaYulah, the yahrzeit of my revered father-in-law, the Rebbe, the leader of our generation, Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak. So it says that so therefore he died on the 10th day. So the concept of Yom HaYulah, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, is that all his actions, Torah, and service which he accomplished through his life is revealed and shines in a matter of revelation from above to below. So everything he does shines into the world and works salvation in the midst of the earth. Moreover, and mainly, that it includes the empowerment for the continuation of sprouting with advanced vigor and greater strength after his passing, as an outcome of sowing of all his actions, Torah, and service which he accomplished through his life, including the sprouting of the true and complete redemption through our righteous Mashiach in our generation, the last generation of the exile, the first generation of redemption. A testimony of the leader of our generation, that all the Kitzim dates signifying the completion of the preparations for the redemption have already ended, and everything is prepared for the meal of the time to come, a laden table with the feast of the Leviathan, and the wild ox, and the gourded wine, the special wine. So let's go over this again. This is explaining about what's happening now, what's happening to us. This is very special for our generation. So we said that, so we talked about here that that it's emphasized this whole idea of the holiness and the and the finishing of all the work and the bringing of Mashiach, especially by the Friediger Rebbe's yard site, which is on the 10th day of the month, which is the 10th is always holy. So we see that it says, so the Alter Rebbe explains in Chanya that when a tzaddik passes away, that everything he's done, that on his day when he passes away, everything is reviled and shines from above below. Person passes and on every year in his yard site, he also has this level of everything is being revealed, and it's not limited because he's no longer in a body. So it says it's revealed and shines in a manner of revelation from above to below, and works salvations in the midst of the earth. So this is the Frierdiker Rebbe. Every 10th day, every 10th of Shvat, he's bringing down salvation into the world. Moreover, and mainly, that it includes the empowerment for the continuation of sprouting. So in other words, that when you when you plant in something, that you're supposed to sprout forth from it new plants. Tzemach, this idea that during the Galus we are planting all the seeds, but now the salvation grows. So when a person passes away, he gives the power to this to have even more and more, that there should be more salvation, there should be more revelation of godliness, there should be more reveal of Mashiach, more and more, with advanced vigor and greater strength after his passing away, as an outcome of sowing. Well, how does it happen? Because he sowed of all his actions, Torah and service, which he accomplished through his life, including the sprouting. So what does this include? You're talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe. So the Frierdiker Rebbe, not only is he bringing salvation, the Frierdiker Rebbe is causing to bring in the sprouting of the true and complete redemption. Through who? To the Rebbe Melech Mashiach, through our righteous Mashiach in our generation. This comes from the Frierdiker Rebbe that that Mashiach is revealed in our generation. That the Rebbe's Melech Mashiach in our generation. The last generation of exile and the first generation of redemption. A testimony of the leader of our generation, that all the Kitzim, they signifying the completion of the preparation for redemption. Everything has been finished, have already ended, and everything is prepared for the meal of the time to come, the laden table with the feast of the Vasin and wild ox and guarded wine. It says the times of Mashiach, that says we were going to be sitting with God and Mashiach and all the great tzaddikim at this great beautiful feast, and it's been laden with all delicacies, and we're going to have the Vasin, which is the big fish, called also the wild ox, the big ox, the delicacies, and we're sitting there and the table is already in front of us. Everything's done. So we may say, now the Rebbe is going to be teaching something very, very special here, as every time he says we may say. Hopefully you should see it and get very excited over this, that the period of time related to Yom HaYilul, the 10th of Shvat, the 70 years of his life in this world and the continuation of years after this, more than 40 years, the Rebbe was talking about this already 40 years after the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away, is divided, this period of time, the 70 years, and the 40, and the life after his 40 years after he passed away, is divided into 3 periods. This is a chiddush, a new thing. The Rebbe is saying this is something nobody else thought about and said before, which are similar to the 3 eras throughout all the generations. What were the 3 eras of all generations, or 3 periods? That before the giving of a Torah, like we said before the Avos, the giving of Torah, which is what we're in now, and the days of Mashiach, which are alluded to in the 3 Torah portions, Shemos, Va'eira, and Bo. The first, that they were talking about the Shemos, we went into servitude. The Va'eira, we were redeemed, and we went and we received. It was the idea of working in the world to receive the Torah, and Bo, it represents a level of Mashiach, of total revelation, godliness. So the first, now we're talking about the Frierdiker Rebbe, the first 40 years, from 5,640 to 5,680, or it's in the 1880s in the English date, during the time of the leadership of his father, which then began the perfection of the phenomena of deciding the wellsprings of Chassidus teachings outward, and especially through the founding of Yeshiva Talmud Kamimi under the administration of his only son, similarly to the service of the forefathers in preparation for and the beginning of the concept of the giving of the Torah. So this was the time the Frierdiker Rebbe was the Frierdiker Rebbe's father was the Rebbe, And during this period of time, he was under his father's leadership, and he was working with his father. And what did his father do? His father was the idea of preparing the world, bringing down the thoughts and teaching Hasidus, but only to a few, to not as many people, but teaching it outward in the beginning of it. And he was the one who founded the Yeshiva Tamkei Tamimi. That the whole idea was that these people that would be soldiers from Hashem to spread the Torah of Hasidus, and that should bring the Mashiach, or revealed Mashiach, take us home right away. He says, so this is similar when he was working with his father, similar to the service of the Avos, the forefathers, in preparation for, and the beginning of the concept of giving of the Torah. So they prepared us that we should be able to receive the Torah. And from their power, we'll be able to fulfill Torah and mitzvahs. So similarly, it says, this first 40 years of his life, when he was under the leadership of his father, this was like the time preparation of the Torah, not bringing down totally out into the world. It's the preparation of the forefathers. The second period, the 30 years of his leadership in his life in this world, 5780 to 5710, during which was the unique innovation of him as a leader of the Chabad Hasidus teachings and disseminating the wellsprings of Hasidus teachings outward. In the most literal sense, he started really including the innovation of, during the last 10 years, the completion of his service and disseminating the wellsprings outward in the lower hemisphere where the giving of the Torah did not take place. Similarly, the innovation of the giving of the Torah. Okay, so Rebbe is explaining that the Frierdiker Rebbe started explaining and bringing out Hasidus and teaching it to the world much more than was ever done before. And also he did, the last 10 years, he came to America. And America is a place where the Torah wasn't given. It says when God gave the Torah at Mount Sinai, that the Torah reached only the top hemisphere, not the lower hemisphere. And America is part of the lower hemisphere. So therefore, his last 10 years, he came to part of the world where the Torah was never given. So he, so to speak, was revealing and giving the Torah in America, revealing the Torah in America. Let's read this over again. The second period, the 30 years of his leadership in his life in this world, 5780 through 5710, during which there was the unique innovation of him as a leader of the Chabad Hasidim, of the leader of Chabad Hasidic teachings, and disseminating the wellsprings of Hasidus teaching outward in the most literal sense, including the innovation during the last 10 years, is when he came to America, the completion of the service and disseminated wellsprings outward in the lower hemisphere, which the giving of the Torah did not take place, similarly to the innovation of the giving of the Torah. So the Rebbe says, the Frierdiker Rebbe bringing the Torah of Hasidus to America is like giving of the Torah because he didn't have it. Now this is very important. Now this is the period we're into now. This is the times of Mashiach. This is the Frierdiker Rebbe saying clearly that's who he is. As the third period is the continuation of his leadership after his passing away. From the 11th day, what was this? When was his leadership continued? It says, the Rebbe says, the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year. So exactly 1 year and 1 day, the Rebbe Mashiach accepted himself that he was the leader of Chabad movement of the Jewish people. And so the Rebbe is saying here, he's saying very clearly that the third period started when the Rebbe took on his leadership to become Rebbe. The day the Rebbe Mashiach officially assumed the leadership, in which this dissemination of wellsprings outward appreciate a great addition with advanced vigor and greater strength, reaching the entire world, including the perfection of the service, that everything is already prepared for the meal, for the time to come, the days of Mashiach. So, first of all, if you look in this, the Rebbe says, and the other ones, he's comparing the first 40 years, it's like the giving of the Torah. And then he says, the second period when he was leader, when he was Nasi, and he started spreading Yiddishkeit, that's like the giving of the Torah. But then finally, when the Rebbe talks about the final 40 years, that he says, like it says, let's go over in the third period, we'll go over the third period, the continuation of leadership after his passing from the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year, 5711, the day that Rebbe Mashiach officially assumed leadership, in which the dissemination of well springs outward, appreciated in a great addition with advanced vigor and greater strength, reaching the entire world, including the perfection of the service, that everything is already prepared for the meal, the time to come. The Rebbe says everything is done, the days of Mashiach. So it's interesting over here that the Rebbe does not say it's like the days of Mashiach. The Rebbe says that from the Rebbe became Rebbe, that's already days of Mashiach. It's very clear. When you read in the Hebrew, it's also clear. The other ones, it says it's like. But when it comes to this one, it says it is the days of Mashiach. It's a very exciting thing. The Rebbe is clearly stating that from the time he took Rebbe, he became Rebbe, this is days of Mashiach. And more specifically, we may say that the three aforementioned time periods are alluded in three time periods of 30 years of Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak leadership in his life in this world. So now he's going to bring it down in three periods. The first period, from the beginning of his leadership until imprisonment, liberation, leaving that country, Russia, in a state of intense decree of the kingdom against Judaism, similar to the servitude in Egypt, the iron refining part before the giving of the Torah. So he says the first period was when he was leader in Russia, and then when till he became imprisoned, and there was a big decree against the Jews and communism. So before which his main service was with self-sacrifice, most literal sense. Similarly, the service of the forefathers, he mamish put his life on the line, and many of the Hasidim, they mamish died because they were self-sacrifice to put their life on the line that we can't give up. The second time period when he came to Poland. So after that, the previous Rebbe went to Poland, in which the main service was in studying and spreading Chabad Hasidus teachings in the manner that it's well understood, although until then, the Hasidic teachings there resemble Polish Hasidim. So the Rebbe explains over there that Chabad Hasidus teaches us to understand through our understanding, and we grasp it so it becomes part of us. Some of the Polish Hasidim was not so intellectual, it was more feeling and love and emotion. So it says, but that's fine. So even Hasidus then did not have the understanding and the comprehension that Chabad brought. So it was in Poland he started teaching Chabad Hasidus so people should understand it and should become part of them in a complete way. For the most, that resembling Polish Hasidism, for the most part, similar to the innovation of that, and you will know that I'm Havey'eh at the giving of the Torah. So in other words, they will understand about godliness in a more deep way. And the third period, when he was in the lower hemisphere, which his main service was truly disseminating the well springs of Hasidus teaching outward, and to hasten and to bring the true and complete redemption immediately, as his known proclamation was, immediately to repentance, immediately to redemption. Now we're in the bottom of page 64. It's such exciting stuff. It says, regarding action, number 11. Standing present on the Shabbos in which we bless the month of Shvat. Now we have to understand, even though we're not talking, today is not this period, but whatever happens in any period, gives life to the rest of the period. So even though we're learning now, most of it, I has a lot to do with Mashiach and all the things he's on, but it happened and was revealed then, but it carries over to every day. So since it was revealed this Shabbos many years ago, we have it even stronger now today. And regarding action, standing present on the Shabbos in which we bless the month of Shvat, including especially the 10th of Shvat, each and every person must accept upon himself to add with advanced vigor and greater strength in the actions of Torah and the service of my father-in-law, the Rebbe, the leader of our generation, the Baal Ha'ilula, whose yard site it is, who has directed us in his ways, and we shall go in his footsteps forever. The Rebbe say we have to follow the predicate Rebbe, especially adding the total submission as well as being tied to my father-in-law. We have to be total submission as well as being tied to my father-in-law, the leader of our generation. The leader is everything, meaning that every single person, his entire existence and all his manners, literally everything becomes consecrated to the leader of the generation, through being permeated with fulfilling the mission of the leader of the generation, the Moses of the generation, the first Redeemer and the final Redeemer, whose main focus is to bring the days of Mashiach in the most literal sense. The Rebbe is saying here that, the people always complain to me, you're always talking about the Rebbe, you're always involved with the Rebbe. The Rebbe is saying here that you have to be totally given over to the Rebbe. Your whole life is to give over, do whatever the Rebbe wants you to do. And that's that, because that's how we're going to reveal and bring the Geula Shlema. So let's just repeat this last part. As it says over here, okay, that service of the father-in-law, the leader of our generation, who has directed us in his ways, and we shall go in his footsteps forever. And especially adding to the total submission, as well as being tied to my father-in-law, the leader of our generation. The leader is everything, meaning that every single person, his entire existence, what's it mean the leader is everything? I mean the Rebbe is everything, the Nasi who I call. That means a person's entire existence and all his matters, literally everything, everything, your being, your sleep, everything becomes consecrated to the leader of the generation. You give yourself totally over to the Rebbe through being through being permeated with fulfilling the mission of the leader of the generation. That through this you are being totally permeated into doing what the Rebbe wants you to do, the leader, the Moses of the generation, the first Redeemer and the final Redeemer. Who is this? So you're totally given to the Moshe of the generation, whose main focus is to bring the days of Mashiach in the most literal sense. So the whole idea is that we're totally given over to the Rebbe. Our whole being, everything we do is given over. I remember once I met Yosef Cohen, who was visiting from Yerushalayim, and he told me, it was a very great word. He said his father says, there's the Eibusher and the Rebbe, and there's nothing else. But the leader of the generation, the Nasi who are called, he's everything. So being everything, that means you give yourself over to everything. And by doing that, by giving yourself over to the Nasi, the Rebbe Mashiach, in a complete way, then this way, we're able to bring the days of Mashiach, and we'd be able to be in the base of Mikdash right away. And to add, that now we're on page 65, the middle. And to add that the awareness of the fact that immediately my father-in-law, the leader of our generation, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak, enters the synagogue, since those that dwell in dust will arise and sing. So the Rebbe is saying Mashiach's happening now, and the Frierdiker Rebbe is going to enter and look intently upon every single constant and follower to examine their state, etc., arouses and affects them to finish and bashim, complete also the meaning of perfect all our deeds and service. So the Rebbe says that since the Frierdiker Rebbe is going to walk in the leader of the generation, actually the Rebbe is going to walk and is going to look at us and see where we're holding. It says it's time we're times of Mashiach. Look, I came back from the dust. The Deacon will arise from the dust. We're times of Mashiach. And he's going to talk to everybody, and he's going to see what we really did. Did we really do what the Rebbe wanted us to do? Were we really kind to another Jew? Were we really just worrying about how we can be a better Jew and help each other better and be more holy? That then did we do when the Rebbe says to do? We give ourselves over to the Rebbe and follow what the leader of the generation says to do. That's what he's going to say. He's going to look. So the Rebbe says this is going to happen now. So we should right away realize that we want to be able to be special. Everything we want to make sure that we should fast finish everything we have to do, so we have no problems at all. That we won't feel any lacking. And it is all worthwhile. Moreover, it is appropriate to organize special Hasidic gatherings, beginning with Hasidic gatherings at Shabbos, and with which we bless the month of Shvat, in addition to the Hasidic gatherings on every Shabbos, as it says in the passage regarding Shabbos. And Moshe gathered. Now, the Moshe gathered the Jews, teaching us to assemble gatherings every Shabbos, to get together in synagogues and study halls to teach Torah to the public. This is where we learn it, that we do it on Shabbos special time, especially on the head of the month of Rosh Chodesh Shvat, especially with Rosh Chodesh Shvat, beginning the head, in addition to the custom lately to make Hasidic gatherings on all heads of all months, every Rosh Chodesh, about which it says the 11th month on the first day of the month. So it says, Moshe began to explain the Torah. So the 11th month, which is Shvat, which is the month we're talking about, on the first day, Moshe started to say the Torah. And in 70 languages. He started explaining it to the people of the world. The content of the service of the Bali Lula and disseminating the well springs outward in 70 languages. This was the whole idea from the Frierdiker Rebbe, that he wanted to to teach Hasidus in all the languages of the world. Hasidus gathering to arouse and strengthen a man and his friends. So we should have this gathering that a man and his friends should strengthen all the above matters, and especially in hastening, bringing the redemption immediately. So we should get together and we should get closer to one another and learn to love one another and teach Hasidus, and especially to be more and more learning Hasidus and do many things that we should bring right away the redemption, that we should be right away in the base of Mikdash right now. And likewise, it is appropriate to arouse regarding the arranging the Hasidic gatherings on the 10th of Shvat, which most certainly will be together with the Balei Lula, the leader of a generation, at our head, and that when another we're going to have this, the Rebbe is saying, is coming up. So for sure, the Frierdiker Rebbe, the leader of our generation, we're ahead, and Moshe and Aaron, and those who are speaking to Pharaoh to take the Jewish people out of Egypt with them. That he's going to, Moshe and Aaron's going to take all the Jews with him. Literally, immediately on this holy Shabbos day, the Rebbe is saying the day when he's saying this right now, that today the Torah portion, Va'eira, before we begin to read the Torah portions both, so the Rebbe is for bringing before Mincha, that's after they make Kiddush, that all the Jews should leave the exile with our youth and with our elders and with our sons and with our daughters. As we read in the Mincha prayer and in the words of the Midrash, Reuven and Shimon went out of exile, and they sent of all the Jewish people from exile to the true and complete redemption, including the ascent of all the Jewish people to the level of the forefathers. What's that? To the essence of the Jewish people, as they are one with his essence, blessed be he. And within this phenomena itself, one ascent one ascent after another, forever, as it says, they will go up from strength to strength, appearing before Hashem and Zion in the third and trifold Beis HaMikdash, the sanctuary which your hands, O Hashem, have established. The Rebbe's brachos are beyond belief, and I'm sure they're true and they're happening, because Rebbe knows. But with Hashem, we should see very right. The Rebbe says, but before we go to the next lesson, it's so eminent, even though we have to feel it and get into it, that Mashiach's Mara is really here and the Gula is really eminent. It's very important for us to think about it and talk about it and to see and to look in the world and see how the Gula is really here. But it's not here all the way, which is what the Rebbe says, and we should have it here all the way. Zai Gesund, everybody. It's Hashem, we're going to start the next Sikha, which will be also in this week's Parsha, which is the second Sikha the Rebbe said in this week's Parsha this year.